Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this vast planet of existence. First and foremost, I want you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you share this video with family and friends because sharing is caring. So, I want to talk about grief. I was in here just minding my business, and then I just started getting this pressing on my spirit about grief. So I went and looked up the definition of grief, and I understand why I was being pressed in my spirit to discuss the topic of grief. Why? Because it's the holidays. Why? Because we're going into the season of winter. We're coming out of fall, going into winter. And typically during this time of the year, in this season, we do a lot of shedding of old layers. We do a lot of reviewing of our lives. And so this season is typical for grief. So what is grief? Grief is deep sorrow. Grief is sadness. Grief is losing something or someone, right? And so grief can look like losing a family member, losing a friend, going through a breakup, going through a divorce, someone passing away, right? The ending of a relationship, whatever type of relationship it is, there is an ending, and so it's a loss that is attached to that ending. And so that is when we begin to feel that emotion of grief, that feeling of sadness and sorrow and loss, and having a feeling of void inside of us. That is grief. And the last 3 years have been extremely trying and challenging for all of us on this planet in so many different ways, even with the global pandemic that caused us to lose many family members and friends unexpectedly. And so we're dealing with that emotion. We're dealing with that negative emotion. It's not necessarily a negative emotion, right? Because any type of emotion, you are to feel it, you are to assess it, and allow it to be transmuted and healed, whatever that looks like for you. And so I wanted to come in and provide you with some tips so that you can turn a negative into a positive, right? Turn the negative into a positive, taking lemons and making it lemonade. And so some tips I want to share with you during the season of grief is to be busy and distracted. Not so busy that you neglect to take care of yourself or sit down and be still, but allow your mind to go somewhere else outside of that loss that you experienced. And so that can busy and distracted can be spending time with people that loves you, spending time at work, or whether it is doing something different. Right? That's another thing. You're going to turn that negative, or you're going to turn that feeling of loss or that void or that ending, you're going to turn it into something positive, because what endings create new beginnings. And so start something new. What does that look like for you? What does it look like for you for starting something new? Doing something different, right? Doing something you've never done. Find outlets to be creative, right? Art, you can paint, you can draw, or you can read. You can go out for a walk, or you can step out in nature. These are just some of the things that you can start new, or you can turn a negative into a positive, or you can be busy and distracted, booked and busy, right? Or you can just place yourself around people that love you, to love on you. You don't have to necessarily be so busy that, you lose sight of yourself, or you burn out because you're tired. You don't want to be grieving and tired. That's not a good combination. That's not a good combination at all. And so I want you to take this time, this season, and be gentle with you. Be gentle with you and allow others around you to love on you. Grief is not easy. Grief do not go away overnight. Grief is a ever-changing process. Grief will always be a part of your life. Why? Because things will always end, right? Nothing lasts forever. We will always go through challenges in life, whether we end friendships, whether we move on to a new job, whatever that looks like. Grief is real, and grief it comes into every last one of our lives in some aspect at some point. And so these are some tips and some tools that I want you to use to help yourself through these holidays and through this season of winter. And so know that I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. But know that God loves you too. It is just the God in me that love on you. You know where to find me. I'll see you soon.